Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here we are with another spot of fun for old and young without the slightest sign of vulgarity. I know a girl called Josie, that's short for Josephine. I'm giving all my other girls the shove. I'm doing all I can for her, she's only 17. I sing this to her when I'm making love. Josie, 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 Josephine, I'll be your Napoleon if you will be my queen. When I gaze into your lovely eyes of blue, I want to do the things my mother told me not to do. Doodle-a-doodle-a, Josie, 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 Josephine, let me show you what I mean. I'll take you out one moonlight night down by the Abbey ruin. Place my arms around your waist until I start my wooing. I'll never let my right hand know what my left hand is doing. Because I love you, Josephine. Yes, that is. Oh, Josie, 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 Josephine, I'll be your Napoleon if you will be my queen. When I gaze into your lovely eyes of blue, I want to do the things my mother told me not to do. Doodle-a-doodle-a, Josie, 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 Josephine, let me show you what I mean. You say you cannot sleep at night, your bed is no temptation. Say the word and marry me, and I'll be your salvation. I'll take your whole licks up to bed and stop your night starvation. Because yes, that's it, that's it. Well, that's to give you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, that's to give you an idea. I'm not a singer. I'm here to make you laugh. And if I don't make you laugh, take this record back to the shop and ask for your money back. And I'd like to see you get it. I'd like to see you. Now, this is nice, you like this. There's a fellow won a few quid on the pools, you see. So he thought he'd buy a car. So he went to the shop and he said to the fellow, he said, I want to buy a car. He said, well, what about that one? He said, how much is that? He said, £500. He said, I'm not giving £500 for a car. So I've only won 75 quid. Not paying that. He said, well, what about a bicycle? He said, no. He said, no, I don't want to buy. He said, I want to get out in the country. I want to go. He said, well, all right, if you want to get out in the country, a pair of skates. He said, skates? I don't want skates. He said, well, look, there's only one thing left. He said, why don't you, like, have a hook and a stick? That'll get you out in the country. So he sold him the hook and the stick, and away he went, right out in the country. And he got out about 20 miles out in the country, and he put his hook on the car park. And when he came back, no hook. So he said to the fellow, he said, where's my hook? He said, I don't know. He said, don't worry about it. It couldn't have cost you much. He said, it cost me much. It cost me £half a crown. He said, but I'm not worried about the hook. He said, how am I going to get home? But my wife, though I talk a lot about my wife, I do really talk a lot about my wife, but really, she's the best wife in the world, I really met. She weighs 20 stone. 20 stone, what I go through. On her wedding night, she woke me up. And she started shouting, "Here, here." I started shouting, where? There's an old man of 80, walking along Piccadilly. So he said to a young lady, he said, would you like to go to the pictures? So she said yes. So they went to the pictures and they sat in the back row. He said, look, he said, I don't know whether I'll watch the picture or not, he said, but he said, will you hold my hands? And she said yes. She held his hands and he went off to sleep. And when the picture was over, he woke up. She said, why did you want me to hold your hand? He said, I've got about £200 in my back pocket. I went home the other night and the wife had got 2 black eyes. I said, where did you get the black eyes? She said, the lodger gave them to me. I said, where's the lodger? She said, upstairs. I showed up and I said, Charlie, did you give my wife 2 black eyes? He said, yes. I said, what for? He said, I found out she was unfaithful to us. I said to my father, I said, Dad, I said, I want to get married. He said, all right, son, who do you want to marry? I said, I'd like to marry Miss Green. He said, you can't. I said, why not? He said, she's your half-sister. He said, when I was a lad, I had a bike and I got around a bit. I said, all right, I'll marry Miss White. He said, you can't. She's your half-sister. Forget about it. Well, I was a bit despondent and I walked around. My mum said to me, she said, what's wrong with you? I said, well, I said to Dad I wanted to marry Miss Green. And he said, I couldn't because she was a half-sister. I said, all right, well, I'll marry Miss White. He said, you can't. She's your half-sister. She said, look, you go and marry which one you like. He's not your father anyway. Well, I'll have to do something about this. This is all written down wrong. Well, when I got home, I had a few words with the wife. This is straight, I mean this. Well, married people, they do. They argue. There's no doubt about it. You've got to. Otherwise, they wouldn't be married life. She said to me, she said, who was that blonde I saw you with last week? Oh, I said, I don't really know who she is. I said, but she was going to the dogs and I was showing her the way. She said, listen, Miller. She said, no woman's going to upset my married life. We've been married far too long. I said, well, I wouldn't say that. She said, no, but you think it. Well, here's a little monologue as spoken from the mouth. Jack and Jill went up the hill just like 2 cock linnets. Jill came down with half a crown. She wasn't up there. Isn't it funny? That's a funny thing. Oh, dear. There's one I've put in there. There's another one. Adam and Eve in the garden dwelt. They were so happy and jolly. I wonder how they would have felt if all the leaves had been holly. Now, isn't it? You can't help liking him, can you? I got on a bus the other day and I sat inside and the conductors came in and she said, no smoking inside. I said, I'm not smoking. She said, you've got a cigarette in your mouth. I said, I know, I've got my shoes on, but I'm not walking. She said, do you want to get me into trouble? I said, yes. What time do you finish? Here. And just then we had a head-on crash with another bus. And the bus turned right over. And all the people, they're lying around all on the road, all lying around in the road there. And a policeman came along and I got out of my bus and I went over to him. I said, has the insurance man been? He said, no. I said, can I lie down with the others? Here. So I thought to myself, no more buses for me, no more buses for me. I'll take my own car. So I took my own car out and I had a head-on crash with another fellow. And he went spark out. And as it happened, I had a little drop of scotch on me, a little quarter miniature scotch on me. Always carry a little drop of scotch, you never know. And I said to him, take a drop of this, you see. So he took a drop and he gradually came round. I said, you all right now? He said, yes. He said, but what happened? I said, well, we had a head-on crash, that's all. I said, but as long as you're all right, it's all right. A policeman came along and he said, what's happened here? I said, you can see what's happened. Don't ask me, you can see it. He said, well, whose fault was it? I said, don't ask me. Smell his breath. Now, a chap walked in. He'd had plenty. He was carrying a right load, this fella. Oh, yes, he looked like making 2 trips, this one. So I said, hello, Charlie. I said, hello, Charlie. What are you having? He said, I'll have a whiskey. I said, how's the wife? He said, oh dear, oh dear. He said, she's fallen down the stairs and broken her leg. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, I'll be glad when they shout time so I can go home and pick her up. You can't help liking it, can you? Then a posh fellow walked in, and he said to the barmaid, he said, a gin and Angostura. So the barmaid, not being too bright like, just started the game, you see. So she gave him the gin and she said, that's 2 and 6. He said, well, what about the Angostura? Oh, she said, you're a stranger here, aren't you? He said, yes. She said, it's down the passage on the right. A soldier had been abroad for about 7 years, and while he was away, his wife had been unfaithful to him. She had a baby. So he was coming home, you see. So she said to the woman next door, she said, now Charlie's coming home, he doesn't know anything about this baby, I wish you'd take it. And when he goes back, I'll take it back from you. She said, that's all right with me. So sure enough, Charlie came home, and when he came home after he'd had his lunch, he said, well now, he said, let's have a look at it, you see. So she said, what are you talking about? He said, I know all about it, you don't have to kid to me, I know all about it. So the wife suddenly thought, oh, hello, the woman next door, she's told him, you see. So she went next door and she said, did you tell my husband that I'd got a baby? Well, she said, what could I do? He asked me and I couldn't do a thing about it, so I told him. She said, it's all right. She said, you can keep it because it's your old man's. Still, whether you're rich or whether you're poor, it's nice to be rich. And whether you're married or whether you're single, it's nice anyway. I've been married twice, so I know. I know what it's all about. I should do. I married my first wife by candlelight. That only lasted a week. I met my second wife in a beautiful garden, in an old English garden. And there she was, hanging the washing out on a fruit tree. I never knew she had so many pairs. Now here... I don't know whether I've cracked this before or not, I don't know. But I saw a nice woman stand at a bus stop, and I said, you waiting for a bus? I've done that, haven't I? She said, no, I'm waiting for the fare. I said, have you the time? She said, yes. I said, well, I haven't, I can't afford it. She was one of those clever girls, you know the type I mean. Hello, send me, goodbye, send me. And she had a very nice figure, a very nice figure. I said, you've got a very nice figure. She said, what do you want to do, spoil it? Well, matter of fact, she had everything. The trouble was she had it all in one place. That was her trouble. I said, I've got something for you. She said, what you got for me I can do without. She said, besides, I'm not that kind of a girl. I said, what makes you think I'm that kind of a man? She said, it's your eyes. They're the same colour as your gags. She said, will you come up to the flat and coffee and games? I said, what? She said, will you come up to the flat and have coffee and games? I said, I'll come up, but don't bother with the coffee, not straight away. So I went up, she had a marvellous flat, 2 beautiful armchairs, we didn't bother with those. And she had a lovely bearskin in front of the fire. I was glad the fire was on. So was she, I think. Now, well, it was raining outside, and there are only 2 things to do when it's raining, and I don't play cards. So she got the drafts out, and we started to play drafts, and I was doing all right until she got me in a corner and crowned me. I said, how long's this game going to take? She said, I don't know, Max, how long can you stay? I said, well, I can't stay long, a couple of days at the most. So I kissed her goodnight the following morning. And at the door she said, aren't you shy? You're a shy boy, aren't you? She said, don't you believe in free love? I said, no, I don't. I don't think she did. I was £1 short when I got home. My father warned me many years ago. He said, son, you're going out into the world. Among the birds and flowers, count your change. Now, there's a funny thing, I can't give change. I don't know the value of money. I went to a barmaid. I said to a barmaid, if I gave you £5 less 10%, what would you take off? She said, you'd be surprised. In this weather! I remember I was playing a small town, a mining town, and I couldn't find digs. And I went round looking for rooms. And I knocked on the door, and a beautiful woman came to the door, and she said, yes. I said, wait a minute, I haven't asked you yet. She said, do you want food? I said, why, is there anything else? I said, could you put me up for the night? She said, I'm full up. I said, but surely you could squeeze me in a back room, couldn't you? She said, I could, but I haven't got time now. You know, busy. So I said, well, how much do you charge? She said, 30 shillings, all in, and I don't want any children. I said, I said, I'm not married. I said, I'm not married. I've always been round-shouldered. She said, well, the best I can do for you, she said, you can sleep with baby if you like. And it costs you £1. I said, that's all right. No, I said, I'm not having that. I can walk about and get wet through. She said, well, will you sleep in the front room on the couch? I said, yes, I'll do that. So I went to sleep in the front room on the couch, and in the early hours of the morning, a beautiful blonde walked in with a cup of tea. I said, who are you? She said, I'm baby. She said, who are you? I said, I'm the mug who slept on the couch. You can't help lightning, can you? I said to a girlfriend, it's funny, I said to a girlfriend, this is very funny. I said, every time I call round to your house, I said, your husband's out. I said, where does he go? She said, he goes round to your house. And then they say, you can't mix business with pleasure. I know a few girls are doing all right in Brighton anyway. Went home the other night, the wife was crying. I said, what are you crying for? She said, I'm homesick. I said, this is your home. She said, oh no, I'm sick of it. Now, I'll sing for you now, the Twin Sisters. You'll like this. I've fallen in love with twin sisters, two girls I would like you to meet. One is called Annie, the other's called Fanny. They both come to live down my street. I think I'd better describe them, just in case you're in doubt. Annie's the one with the teeth in, Fanny's the one with them out. Not bad, is it? Not bad, is it? You can't help liking him. Annie would scream out in terror if a boy should stop her late at night. Fanny, she too would let out one or two, but hers would be screams of delight. One night, a couple of sailors followed them home on the street. Annie, she prayed for her mother. Fanny, she prayed for the fleet. Not bad, is it? Annie, she wears a blue costume. It brings out her eyes, you can tell. Fanny wears slacks that bring out all the facts and bring out the police force as well. One of these girls I should marry. To separate twins isn't fair. So when I tie the knot with what little I've got, I'll see they both get a fair share.